Hello, my name is Julie Reeder, and I am the Senior Research Analyst with the State WIC program. I'm very excited to have the opportunity to talk with you today about the WICShopper app, specifically to share with you where are we after a year after rolling out the WICShopper app, and to talk with you about strategies that you might be able to take that are simple and maybe some things that you're already doing to reach more families. So to start us off, we're going to look at how many families have downloaded the WIC app so far. These numbers are from October of 2016. So we know that statewide, on average, 43% of families have downloaded the app as of October of last year. This means that 57%, the majority of families, have yet to download the app. Now, the percentage of families who have downloaded the app varies tremendously by agency. We have a low of 21% of families in some counties, all the way up to 61% of families. The top 3 agencies that have the highest percentage of families who have downloaded the WICShopper app are Columbia at 61%, Union County at 59%, and Lynn County at 58%. I also need to mention that we have 5 agencies that currently have under 30% of their families who have downloaded the app. So I think every agency really has some areas for improvement to be able to reach the majority of families through the WICShopper app. So if we take a closer look at the data, wonderful data that helps us really understand what's happening with our families and how we intersect with them. If we look at the number of downloads and the percent of downloads by race and ethnicity, and this particular set of data is just looking at English-speaking families. But what we can see here is that there is a difference by race and ethnicity among our English speakers for those who have downloaded the app. And so what we notice is that our Black or African American families, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, and our American Indian, Alaska Native families are less likely to have downloaded the app as of October. Looking again at the language differential, we'll notice that our English and Russian-speaking families are actually most likely to have downloaded the app, while we see that Spanish, Somali, and our Nepali-speaking families have a much lower percentage of families that have downloaded the app. So that suggests some areas of work for us to make a more equitable distribution of families who have downloaded the app. And certainly for those who may be newer to our system and may have more difficulties with the shopping process. The other interesting thing, speaking of somebody who, as someone who's getting more towards the upper end of this chart, we notice that WICShopper app usage actually decreases a little bit with age. So our younger folks that are under the age of 20, a little bit more than half of them have downloaded the app. That stays true for folks that are in their 20s, but as people get into their 30s and then 40s and over, they have been less likely to download the app. And we don't know exactly why that is. That just could be more experience with WIC and feeling like they don't need that to ease the shopping process, but we don't really know. It could also just emphasize comfort with technology for our younger participants, but that's definitely something for us to take a look at. One other thing that I should mention is that when we take a quick look at the data, we see a preliminary trend that suggests that people who have the app are more likely to fully redeem their benefits than those who do not have the app. So if we really want families who we know have sometimes are struggling economically and to put food on the table, if we really want them to take advantage of their food benefits that they get from us and be able to offer healthy foods to their families, I think it's important that we really look at how the WICShopper app could play a role in that. So this leaves us with a challenge. I've already talked to you that 57% of our families have not downloaded the app at this point, and that it really varies tremendously on geography, so where you live in the state, whether you speak English or another language, your race, ethnicity, and, mom's age. So our next step is we've already gotten the very early people, sort of the innovators, to come along and download our app, but how do we reach that other group of folks, the 57% who haven't been quite as interested in jumping on the bandwagon for our app? How do we do it? Well, thankfully, there's theory, and that helps us know what to do. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about something called diffusion of innovation theory. Diffusion of innovation theory actually comes to us from the field of sociology and was first used to look at farmers and how they adapt farming practices. But not long after its introduction in sociology, it started getting used for a lot of health applications. So it's been used for things like how to help people stop smoking, how to help people use different types of family planning methods, and it's something that we can use here to help figure out how do we get more families to use the WICShopper app. So more formally, diffusion of innovation theory, it's a body of research. Again, talking about how it came from sociology and then moved on to health applications. And it looks at predictable patterns. So patterns about how innovations being new things, they don't have to be new, but perceived to be new by the population, how those are adopted, again, looking at different populations, so English, Spanish, our African American families versus our Nepali families, and across different innovations. So that's what it really does. So let's take a look at this diffusion of innovation idea. So I mentioned before that it looks at patterns and it looks at sort of speed of uptake of innovation. So if we look at this wonderful, colorful mountain, if you will, if you see on the very left-hand side, there's 2.5% in green, and that 2.5% are really the innovators. If you think about like when the new iPhone comes out and you have those people who sleep 3 days before, at the Apple Store to be the very first ones to get it, and who are online chatting months before about what's coming out and what the features are going to be, those are really the innovators. And so that's a very small percentage of the population, and that population also usually has to have the financial resources to be able to take those risks, for something that may or may not turn out to be the next great thing. The innovators are important because they help launch an innovation into the general population, but they're really probably less influential for the people that we're trying to reach. So the next group is actually the early adopters, and these are people who wait a little while and are a little bit more cautious, but still are important opinion leaders for bringing a product into the larger population. So they're not quite the innovators, but they don't wait as long as the average person in the population to adapt a new technology or technique or approach. And so if you can think about these are most of your families who maybe after a couple weeks you told them about the WICShopper app and they had already downloaded it and were talking about it. These are important people to reach out to when you're thinking about group education, because they really are peers and their opinions and experiences will help influence the rest of these groups who have been later to adopt those particular pieces. So the next group that we have in gold there, 34%, those are the early majority. So they are the ones to adopt something right before the average person in the population adapts it to it. And that's really where we're sort of stuck right now, somewhere right in the middle of this gold section, where we've got the people who are going to do it pretty easily and without a lot of help. But how do we reach these people who are later on in the curve and may need more assistance from us? We've talked about, again, using the 12.5%, the early adopters, as peer mentors to try to talk to them about that. We know that's very effective, but we all know that there are also other ways to reach this last half of the curve, and that's what we're going to talk a little bit more about today. I'd also like to tell you that there are links that we've included where you can watch some very fast and fun videos that explain more about diffusion of innovation. They only take a few minutes and I think they tell you a lot. So I invite you to do that. The other piece, just sort of going along the lines of diffusion of innovation, is looking at this S-curve. So I know it looks kind of like a crazy snake, but really what it's trying to convey to you, to tell us, is that with innovation, things usually, they start out slow, right at the beginning. So you've got those really, crazy people who spend the night and go get things. Then people usually sort of hold back a little bit, right, until they start, seeing how it's going to go, whether it's going to blow up or whether it's really going to make their life better. And then we have sort of a quick uptick, once those initial doubts are out of the way. But then we slow back down again with the curve. And so we're kind of midway, and we can either, one, rise up and try to be a little bit more rapid with our adoption of technology for the 57% of families, or, if we don't do anything, we probably will slow down, and our curve may not really rise. So I know that every one of you has the successful intention to make that S-curve really go up for us, and let's talk about how you can do that. And I think it's good to make it clear, too, that because not everybody has a smartphone, although more and more of our families are, we know that we aren't going to reach everyone. That is never going to be 100%. But there's still a lot of room for growth, given that 57% of families don't have the app, and that's not all smartphone dependent. Let's talk a little bit about diffusion of innovation and how that describes the first group that easily adopts, and then ways that we can do that. So let's look at the key attributes. That's like the components or the things that make up the diffusion of innovation theory. And also, these are the things that drive how fast something goes. So when we looked back at that S-curve, the crazy snake slide, and we talked about things can go faster or slower. Well, what are some of the things that make this go faster and slower? And you have this on a handout, so I'm not going to read through this table because I know that you can read, and that's something for you to take a look at. But they are things like relative advantage, the time required, the amount of risk and uncertainty, and observability. And so I just wanted to pick out a few of these and just talk about it a tad bit more. An important point is understanding that innovations that are perceived as having greater relative advantage are more compatible, trialability, observability, and have less complexity. They're going to be adopted more easily. So we're going to take a look at each one of those very quickly. And again, you have more information on the handouts that we've provided, linked to this to read more about it. So we'll quickly take a look at each one of these that we know are really key for making something take off and soar in your population. So what is relative advantage? Essentially, we're looking at things like, how is the WICShopper app better than the alternatives? How does the Shopper app, excel compared to those alternatives? Compatibility. How well does it work with your lifestyle? How does it make things easier for you when you're in shopping with the 5 kids at the end of the day and you just want it to be over with? So that's compatibility. Complexity. How hard is it to download the WIC app? What do you have to do? What do you have to agree to let them have access to in order to get the WIC app? So that's something you'd want to think about, is complexity. Trialability. Trialability would be, can WIC participants change their mind? Can they try it out and then reverse their decision? And finally, observability. And here we talk about, are the results of the innovation observable and measurable? What we're really talking about there is, can they see it in action with somebody else, right? And can they then see how for them, how the person who's having some doubts, how that would improve things for them? Can they measure its impact on themselves? And can they see others try it out? So what does it mean to them? Now, 1, I'll stop talking, and then 2, so you can hear from other staff. What we hear from staff is that they are already secretly using diffusion of innovation in their conversations with participants about the WICShopper app. And so we have 2 examples. We've got Igor from Multnomah County, the Gateway Clinic, who serves primarily Russian families. He has a lot of wonderful tips about how he's working one-on-one with families. to get that high percentage. 40% of Russian families are using the WICShopper app. And we have Leah from Lynn County, who, through her interview with Karen Benton, has described a lot of wonderful things that she's doing in the group setting. Again, sort of capitalizing on those early peers who went ahead and got the Shopper app early on to talk about what the app has been to them. So let's take a few minutes and let's listen to both Igor and Leah about how they're really making this happen every day in WIC. And you'll see me pop up. I won't be talking, but you'll see me pop up once in a while through their interview, just to remind you where I see that they're actually using Diffusion of Innovation and really doing a wonderful job at giving fantastic examples of things like relative advantage and observability, the concepts that we just talked about, how they're making that happen.
This application that we have access to is a wonderful tool that sort of transcends the language barriers, really empowers clients and makes them more independent. One of the questions that frequently pops up is, when am I getting my benefits? And I always hasten to tell them, oh, you've already gotten them. They have already been uploaded to your eWIC card, and they're accessible to you this very minute. Use that phrase or something along those lines as a lead into the question. You have access to the application. You know how to look them up, right? Which, of course, elicits all kinds of different responses. Very many times I would get a response along the lines of, well, I usually call the customer service line and ask them what I have left. Or, you guys gave me a printed copy last time, and so I was going off that. Or, I hold on to the most recent receipt from the store. I try to be nice about this, and I usually sort of validate that kind of approach, and I say, oh, yeah, wonderful. But do you know there's an easier way and a more sort of technologically advanced way of doing that, keeping tabs on what you still have left? If I get a blank stare or like a flat-out no, why? What are you talking about? I use that as a sort of entry into this whole thing. I tell them there is a wonderful application that's free, and free is a very good price, that you can use. You can download it. It's a matter of 1 minute. You push several buttons on your cell phone, and you will be able. And this is where they get really sold on the idea. I tell them you're going to be able to see exactly the same thing that I see on my computer screen. So it sort of seduces them into, believing that they're now insiders and previous to the knowledge that otherwise they would not have access to, or at least not have the visual image of. Usually tell them, I turn the computer screen towards them and I say, okay, here's what I'm looking at here. Do you see this? This is you, okay, this is your child, this is your primary card holder, and these are all the benefits that you still have left that you haven't used for this month. They're aggregated. Now, there's a way for you to see exactly the same picture on your cell phone. Do you have your cell phone with you? And, 99% of the time they say, yeah, I do. And I say, well, pull it out. Download that. I feel strongly that this is, it may be a little bit of a pushy sales type of an approach, but I think it works. And so they pull out the cell phone and they say, okay, is yours a Samsung or is it an iPhone, depending on which it is? We go to a particular application store there. I tell them, enter WICShopper, okay, one word, no spaces in between, which they do. Sometimes go, is that all right with you if I just, key in on your cell phone the name of this application? And I do that right in front of them so that they can see. And then the visual image comes up, and I say, there it is. And it says install or get, push get, and I basically just accompany all of my actions, which are very visual and very hands-on literally, with sort of a running commentary of what I'm doing. So I'm telling them, okay, you just push the install button, and, this circle starts spinning around, which means that the program is getting downloaded. Let me give you the brochure, and I basically give them this standard brochure that we give to all of our clients, which is titled Shopping with Your eWIC Card. I open it to page number 2, basically just highlight the image of the screen of the phone, and they tell them, eventually, once you've downloaded this application, you're going to be able to see all these multicolored tabs. And I usually go by the color rather than by the name. It works especially well for people who are not on first-name terms with the English language. They may have very limited English language skills. So I tell them, look at this green button here, okay? It says My Benefits, but just remember green, okay? Push the green button, and once you do that, you'll be able to see exactly the same thing that I see on my computer screen. And I also, if we haven't downloaded it then and there, if they have to postpone this whole thing until they go back home and delete some of the preceding applications, tell them there are a couple of really attractive features other than that to this program. For example, the red button at the very top, which says Scan Barcode. If you push that, your phone miraculously turns into a scanner. And once in the store, you can just use your phone as a scanner and scan the barcode. And then I tell them there's this other attractive feature to this whole program whereby if you have, for whatever reason, forgotten to use some of the food items and it's the end of the month, 2 days prior to the end of the calendar month, this phone will perform a wonderful service for you. It will give you a reminder that you still have some benefits that have not been used, and you better start using them really soon. So people are generally very impressed with that. So that's pretty much it.
At Lynn County, Leah Brunson is working the WICShopper app into nutrition education discussions. For group classes, Leah's goal is to have participants teach each other. At the end of the new WIC Foods class, Leah's been facilitating a discussion about the app. She starts off asking, who has the app? Then Leah follows this with, well, what do you like about the app? Once those who have the app share, then she asks the rest of the group, why don't you have the app? Leah reports every group has at least 2 participants who are using the app and are generally enthusiastic about sharing what they like about it. She finds the discussion gets others really excited about wanting the app, and by the end, participants are showing each other how to sign up and use the different features. Letting those who have the app, those early adopters, share with those who don't have it yet helps bridge the barriers some people have about downloading the WICShopper app. During individual appointments, if someone already has the app, then she checks if they're using one of the features. A feature she's been focusing on is the food list. About 6 months ago, the WICShopper app changed how the food list is accessed. Leah has found some participants haven't yet figured out how to navigate the food list on the app. She'll ask, did you know the food list is on the app? And if not, then she'll say, get your phone out, let's take a look. She then has them scroll to WIC Food Guide, and then she has them open up each of the tabs to discover which foods are where and which include pictures of the foods. This has helped them see how convenient it is to check the food list on the app for information. Leah has also found a way to use the app to talk about recipes and to count this as nutrition education. When participants ask questions about how to use a food such as tofu, she has them get out their Shopper app, go to Food Hero. Then she helps them navigate the Food Hero website to look up the various tofu recipes. To document this as nutrition education, she chooses recipes from the Twist Nutrition Ed drop-down list, and if the participant has chosen this as the goal, then in the goals section, she'll type Use app to look up recipes. These are just a few of the creative ways Leah has come up with to assist participants in downloading the app and in taking advantage of the features the Shopper app has to offer. We really appreciate Leah's willingness to let me share her strategies. This is Karen Betton, State WIC Nutrition Consultant, reporting.
Now we've had a chance to listen to Igor and Karen to tell us about the wonderful things that Leah is doing in Lynn County. I just wanted to ask you to stop and reflect for a minute and think, which diffusion of innovation attributes did you see them use? I know I popped in on a few of them just to point them out, but I bet you saw a lot of things that I didn't pop in and point out. So what did you see them use? Did you hear anything that you say to participants and maybe now are realizing that are things that you're using from Diffusion of Innovation and didn't even know it. And that's my question is, have you been using techniques from Diffusion of Innovation all along, but just didn't recognize it? I bet that you have. So now we've briefly gone over, where we sit with the WICShopper app, right? 43% of families have downloaded it, 57% have not. Non-English speaking families, on the whole, are less likely to have downloaded it, as are certain racial and ethnic groups, and mothers who are a little bit older on the age spectrum. So, now this is really our invitation to you to take this knowledge, as well as what we've just talked about with Diffusion of Innovation and how you would message around those things. Wonderful examples from fellow local staff, right, with Leah and Igor, and then say, hey, we'd really like you to get on board with this effort to help these families get the WICShopper app. So we're inviting you, if you would like to take on this challenge, to go ahead and email Jolene McGee, and her email is right there for you to see. And if you let us know that you're interested in doing this, we will send you a bunch of goodies, right, to support you, of course. So one, we're going to send you a set of quotes from the WICShopper app users, and so we've gathered these through our Facebook. So these are wonderful peer messages that will help promote the WICShopper app. We will send you for evaluation purposes, because of course you want to know, hey, is what we are doing actually working? We'll send you some updated numbers along the way so you can see whether you've increased the percentage of families in your clinic that are using the WICShopper app. And we can also help you out with answering more questions about Diffusion of Innovation, right? Because I know we've just spent a very short amount of time on it today, and there's more to know, but I think there's enough here to get you started. And we'll also share with you ideas on how to use the WICShopper app for nutrition education. So what are we asking of you? What we're asking is that you take a look at the handouts that we've sent you, okay, that are included, and then get together with your other staff members, your friends there, and think about, how are we going to do this? Which of these attributes, and there are many, do we want to message around? Relative advantage, observability, right? Which ones are we going to choose? What is that going to sound like in our clinic, right? Because every clinic is different. It's going to sound different in different languages and with different cultural groups. The pitch is going to be a little bit different. So what's the perfect pitch for you? And are you going to do that mainly one-on-one? Are you going to incorporate things into group classes, your health fairs? Where do you think is the ideal channel for getting these messages across? We've also included a Diffusion of Innovation matrix, and this matrix, our worksheet, is really just a template for you to use to sort of write down your thoughts and come up as a clinic of a plan, with a plan. How are you going to do this? What are your messages going to be? When are you going to do it? What's going to be your timeline? So think about when you want to get started, and think about then how long you think it will take for meaningful change to occur. And this will help us when we're working with you, thinking about how to support you, and then also when to pull some numbers down the line to see whether this is really making a meaningful change. So that's what I really have to tell you today. I just want to say that we're so excited to have the opportunity to really work with you to apply this Diffusion of Innovation theory, which again has worked across many disciplines, has helped people stop smoking, start using birth control, and a number of wonderful successes with application of this theory. We have 57% of families who still need our help to get the WICShopper app into their smartphones and into their lives to make the shopping part of WIC a lot easier, because we know that it can be a struggle. So again, I invite you to see the handouts, the links to videos, and also a link to Igor's full interview, which has a lot of wonderful tips, particularly if you work with families who are non-English speaking quite frequently. So there's a lot of good content there. And again, please email Jolene and we will send you all of the goodies plus more that we have promised. And with that, I thank you very much for spending this short amount of time with us, and we look forward to receiving your email and working with you in partnership to get more families to use the WICShopper app. Thanks.